Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to today's live webinar. My name is Rory Summers. I'm the undergraduate admissions counselor here at SACI, and I'm going to be doing a brief presentation for all of you today to give you kind of a better understanding of SACI and our programs, both semester and summer. So I'm going to start off by showing a video. Hopefully it does not lag too much. And yeah, it just gives a really good view of the experience of being a student in Florence, and especially at SACI, and a general view of Florence as a city as well as our facilities. So enjoy. Enjoy. So I want to start off by talking a little bit about what makes SACI special. So as you may know, SACI is a College of Art and Design in Florence, Italy, where we offer the opportunity for undergraduates to spend a semester or a summer studying abroad with us. We also have a special Venice summer program, which is the only program that we offer outside of Florence. There are also 7 graduate programs that students can enroll in to earn a degree. So while we do just undergraduate study abroad, there is the opportunity to earn an advanced degree with SACI. But today I'm going to talk about specifically the undergraduate experience. So what makes SACI special is the opportunity to bring artists over from their home campuses in the States and introduce them to a city like Florence. Florence has hundreds of years of artistic history stretching back all the way to the Renaissance, but it's still this great thriving place for artists to go to today. So it wouldn't make any sense to bring you all the way over to Florence and just have you in studio spaces and classrooms like you could be at your home universities and colleges. So what we strive to do is get you outside of the classroom as much as possible, drawing on experiences that you'll have in Florence and things that you'll see in Florence to really inform your artwork, as well as to grow and develop yourself as an artist and as an individual. So on a daily basis, students are walking around the city. Florence is a city, but it's also very small and incredibly walkable. There is opportunities for public transportation, but the most popular form of public transportation is walking. And so just on a daily basis, going in between classes, grocery stores, getting gelato, having dinner out with friends, you will be walking through the city of Florence and experiencing all that it has to offer. And as I mentioned, it does have hundreds of years of artistic history, but it does also have a lot of contemporary artists working there. And the city itself shows this juxtaposition in every way imaginable, from the galleries to the museums to old churches to archaeology, but also out in the streets where you might be rounding a corner and see and run into a statue that's hundreds of years old, but just a few steps away, there's a street artist doing some contemporary work. In the classes, we get you involved in the city of Florence as much as possible. We have been starting and developing new partnerships with many of the museums around Florence, giving students the opportunity to actually use their art and what they're learning in a setting out in the city, where what they're doing will continue to stay in Florence long after they've left. So there's opportunities to work with museums like the Academia, as well as designers like Ferragamo, to create different projects, such as helping to increase the visitor experience in the Academia, or working with Ferragamo to create different production products and work in the museum for Ferragamo. Our conservation students also have the opportunity to work on archaeological objects that will be conserved and restored and then put into the museum in Florence. We are also bringing Florence into the campus as much as possible by inviting local artists. We do symposiums such as this one, which explored the intersection of art and science. So those symposiums and talks happen very frequently. We do have gallery space in both of our buildings, with exhibitions opening very frequently to allow artists from all over Florence, Italy. Some of them are alumni, some faculty, some locals, to come in and showcase their artwork. And we'll have opening receptions and artist talks so that students have the opportunity to interact with these artists. So moving on to a little bit about the course opportunities. SACI's goal is to provide you with the opportunity to take courses that you are currently focusing on in your home school, whether that's drawing, painting, sculpture, whatever it might be, so that you have the opportunity to continue to grow and advance as an artist in these areas. But we also want to give you the opportunity to experience some courses and some areas that you wouldn't be able to necessarily take as a class at your home school. During the semester, students are taking between 4 and 5 courses, and during the summer, students are enrolled in 2 courses. Each one of our courses carries 3 credits with it, so you will just make sure that your home school is going to accept the transfer credit for the courses that you're planning to take. We offer lots of different areas, as you saw just briefly before. We have painting and photography. We have areas of sculpture, jewelry making, different areas of crafts such as weaving, lots of different areas in graphic and visual design. So we have illustration, infographics, typography, and more, as well as an internship opportunity, batik and serigraphy, book arts, art conservation, where students are actually working on conserving actual pieces of artwork to go back into the public consumption, which is a really unique opportunity. And then also opportunities in Italian language and culture and creative writing. Students are not required to take Italian while they are with us or to have any previous Italian experience or knowledge, but we do offer it as a class. And then our art history classes focus on all different periods of art history, dating all the way back to the Renaissance to contemporary. And these classes are great because they spend the most time outside of the classroom, on site, almost constantly in a museum or going on field trips on the weekend. So if you do have any interest in art history or any interest in seeing the most of Florence and Italy, these art history classes are definitely something to take. You'll have the most field trips on the weekend, and all of our field trips are included in the cost of tuition. I do also want to mention that many of our classes are offered at beginning, intermediate, and advanced levels. So if you already have a pretty extensive background, you would be eligible to go into an advanced class. You have no previous experience, you would go into the beginner's class. And if there is a class that is not offered at those varying levels, then they are open to everybody. As I mentioned, there are extensive field trip and travel opportunities. Again, we want to bring you all the way over to Florence and get you outside of the studio. So each class has its own field trip component. Where you go and what you see will be dependent on the classes that you take. The art history classes are out and about in the city of Florence almost every time that they meet, with class field trips on the weekend to places like Venice, Pisa, Milan, Siena, and more. Other classes, such as our sculpture class, will do day trips to areas around Florence. So, for example, our sculpture class gets the opportunity to go to the local marble quarry. This is the quarry where David got his marble for Michelangelo got his marble for the David. Students will get the opportunity to see how this marble is quarried. And if you're in the advanced class, you'll get a piece of marble to bring back to the studio with you to become your final project. In other classes like painting or drawing, you'll be around the city drawing inspiration and sketching what you see. And then, of course, there are opportunities for students to travel on their own on the weekend and during longer breaks during fall and spring semesters. We do absolutely recommend that you stay in Florence as much as possible to be able to really have the opportunity to feel the local culture and see events on the weekends that would not be available during the week. But there are plenty of opportunities to travel both around Italy and Europe. It is very easy to get to many places from Florence. There is a train station a few blocks away from the campus, and then there's also an international airport. The other thing that makes SACI special is the real opportunity to immerse yourself in Florentine culture. And in study abroad in general, what's great about doing a study abroad program, whether it is for a semester or a summer, is the opportunity to feel like you've actually lived in the city, that you are not just a tourist in Florence, going for a week, staying in a hotel, hitting all of the greatest highlights, and then leaving with some pictures. Students with SACI will live in apartments throughout the downtown area, so you actually get to feel like you're living with like a local. You'll live with other SACI students in these apartments. There are anywhere from 2 to 6 students in an apartment, but the rest of the building will be will have apartments that house local people. So on a daily basis, you are coming in and out of the same buildings that local people do. We don't have the opportunity, or we don't have a meal plan or a cafeteria, so students have the opportunity to cook and grocery shop for themselves in fully stocked and furnished apartments. So the apartments have everything that you'll need, both in the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom, Wi-Fi access, a TV, and more. There are also washers for clothing, but not dryers, because in Italy they don't really use clothing dryers. But the opportunity to be able to grocery shop and cook for yourself means that there are plenty of opportunities to try the local cuisine as well as to cook for yourself. And there is a farmer's market right down the street from the school, so you get the chance to shop in the local farmer's market to get to know all of the bakeries in the area and have your favorite, and to drink coffee and have meals alongside the locals in your neighborhood. As I mentioned, on the weekends and even during the week, there are a lot of events happening around Florence throughout the year, different festivals that you'll be able to go out and see and maybe even participate in. There are also opportunities to volunteer in the community, whether you want to be an English language teacher, volunteer at a home for adults with mental disabilities, work in a local garden, or volunteer as an English language classroom aide. You'd be able to do all of these things, or if there's something in particular that you have in mind, we can do our best to try and find that opportunity for you. We also encourage students to get to know locals their own age by going to the cafeteria and cafe at the local Italian language university. This is a great opportunity to meet people your own age, but to maybe also practice some of your Italian skills or to allow somebody to practice their English skills on you. So it's a great universal opportunity. So finally, a little bit about our facilities. So SACI is located in the downtown center of Florence, which means that we are within walking distance to all of the major sites in Florence, whether that's the Duomo, the museums, the train station, or more. Student apartments are scattered throughout this downtown center, anywhere from just a few feet from our main building to a 10 to 12-minute walk away. Our main building is called the Palazzo dei Cartaglioni. You can see the facade of the building here. So it is a palazzo, which is a fancy way of saying that hundreds of years ago, it was a mansion for a rich family. This building in particular happened to belong to a pupil of Galileo. That is Galileo's bust above the door that you can see there. And we have renovated it into the studio and classroom space where our students spend their time. This building has hundreds of years of history, and so there is this great, again, juxtaposition of the old meeting the new. There's also a beautiful backyard where students can spend some time. We have garden parties back there, and some of our classes take place back there as well. Our library is available here for students in art history or other classes where papers or other homework is needed to be done. This is also the building where our administrative offices are. We have dark rooms, we have computer labs, we have studio space, and more. Our second building, the staircase of which is pictured here, is the Jules Madoff Palazzo, named for our founder, Jules Madoff, who was an American painter who came over to Florence, fell in love with the city, and wanted to open a school so that American students could come over to Florence and have the experience that he had. So we opened in 1975 and have been operating programs ever since. The Jules Madoff Palazzo is home to more of our graduate program space. So this is where our graduate students have their dedicated studio space, but there are also opportunities for students, undergraduate students, to have classes here. As you can see, we have maintained much of the original painting on the walls and the ceilings of these buildings so that you have this wonderful juxtaposition of being in a classroom, learning in a very modern setting, but still being able to appreciate the history around you because it is so apparent to you in everyday life in Florence. This building also has a gallery space, and again, we have rotating exhibitions happening in this building that students are welcome to attend. And that is also the backyard garden space for this building. So if you are interested in applying to SACI, there are a couple of things that you should know. We do operate on a rolling admissions basis, which means that the earlier you submit your application and complete it with all of your materials, the sooner you'll be able to get a final admissions decision. The first step always is to check with your homeschool study abroad office to see if there are any internal deadlines or paperwork that you would need to complete with them before being able to apply directly to SACI. So get in touch with your local study abroad office or an advisor to figure out what your homeschool's application process is. Once you figure that out, you can apply to SACI. We have a fairly easy application process. It is a form where you'll fill out your name and where you go to school and some pretty simple questions like that. And then you will submit a transcript from your school. We do require a 2.75 GPA or higher, as well as a some study abroad advisor form, which basically says that the courses that you're interested in taking have been approved, that you will be receiving credit for that, and that somebody at your school is aware of your plans to study with SACI. And that's it. So for the fall, our final deadline is June 15th. For late spring, it's April 1st. For summer, it is May 15th. And for spring, it is November 15th. So some of those deadlines are approaching, and others you have plenty of time to work on those. We do also have scholarships available. Those deadlines are earlier, typically about a month earlier than the final application deadline. And you can find more information about the scholarships on our website. We don't have any portfolio requirements or anything like that unless you are applying for scholarships. And so that is a little bit about SACI. So what I'd like to do is invite anybody who might have questions after seeing this presentation to send me an email. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions at any time via email, or to set up a time to communicate with you over the phone or via Skype to get those questions answered for you. So thank you so much for coming and being aware of SACI as an option for you to study abroad. I hope that this presentation answered some questions for you, and I look forward to hearing more from you via email. Thanks so much.